Major production funding for Game Notes is provided by Hargrove Engineers and Constructors is proud to support LPB. Since 1995, Hargrove has been employee-owned and relationship-driven. With 2,700 teammates around the world, Hargrove works as one team to go beyond expectations.
You have what it takes to begin your journey: curiosity, ingenuity, intellect, determination. Through a vast portfolio of affordable and in-demand academic programs, hundreds of student-focused activities, and wraparound services, Southern University meets you where you are, giving you the tools and support that lead you to a successful career in the sciences or the arts. Begin with your goals anywhere. Finish stronger at Southern University at subr.edu.
The Rolf Pugh Agency is proud to support this program. Based in Louisiana, Rolf Pugh has provided marketing services nationwide since 1981, partnering with clients in healthcare, retail, automotive, and more. For more information, visit rpagency.com. With additional support from Lafayette Travel, the LSU Alumni Association, and the Cook Hotel and Conference Center at LSU, Louisiana Tech University, Natchitoches Regional Medical Center, Northwestern State University, Red Stick Sports, the U.S. Army Baton Rouge Recruiting Battalion, the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, and viewers like you. Thank you. We are back, and we are off and running, and great to have you with us here for Game Notes on LPB. Alongside my Super Bowl champ partner, Scott Shanley, I'm Victor Howell. Yeah, we're getting into the middle of October. We're getting into the heart of conference play, and Scott, as we have talked about recently, just ask Louisiana Tech from their Thursday night game. You get into conference play, things start to change a little bit.
And it changes because you're now playing people who are familiar with you.
Yeah.
People who are familiar with your coaching staff, what you do, what your strengths, what your weaknesses are. They track you when you're going through the portal, what type of players you're going after in recruiting. So it comes down to understanding what the strengths and weaknesses are of these teams you're playing to win the conference championships.
Louisiana Tech, one of two teams that played on Thursday night. Tulane was the other one. We'll get to both of those in just a little while, but we are jam-packed with our rundown. Let's get things started, and we'll focus with the Tigers in Baton Rouge because of the game they are playing later on tonight. It's game on for LSU, now into the heart of that gauntlet of the SEC schedule. Tonight, the Gamecocks from South Carolina pay a visit to Tiger Stadium, a team that still feels like it got robbed 1 year ago and should have beaten LSU on its home field. Now, with the bye week with LSU, they've had some chance to work on some things. Remember the last time out, that disappointing loss in Oxford, where Brian Kelly said they never had all sides of the ball and special teams all on the same page, something he says the Tigers have been working on with the extra time off. Now they're ready to see if they can implement it.
We just need to play a complete game where our offense complements our defense and special teams. That hasn't shown itself yet. It will. We've worked hard on that. Our players have committed to that. And now we'll get an opportunity to show ourselves against a really good South Carolina team.
Really just focusing on the details because, like you said, we're going in the SEC stretch, so none of these games are going to be easy at all. So everybody just honing on details and getting on the same page so we can all go out there and execute how we know we can and then just put up the points and win the games that we know we should be winning.
Yeah, I've just been big in self-scout. Been watching all the films from our past games and, most recently the Ole Miss game. And we actually sat down with the running backs and tight ends and just talked about ways that we can improve and hone in on details. But also, getting healthy was big too.
The running game on a milk carton for much, if not most of this season for LSU, but they get a boost tonight. Leading rusher Caden Durham expected to be back on the field in the purple and gold. LSU's rushing game is ranked 15th in the SEC, only 5 yards better than the team they face tonight. South Carolina's the worst in the conference. With the SEC grind about to hit full stride, there's no more time to mess around. The Tigers know they have to get a ground game established.
Running the ball opens up the rest of the offense. So with the inability to run the ball, teams are going to, drop 8, and then it makes it hard for us and the passing game to get going. So, as an O-lineman, I take responsibility for that. I feel like that's on us, and, we need to be better.
You want to be able to set up what you're doing as a play caller. And look, I think Joe does a really good job. He obviously is under the microscope. I get it. He gets it. We're looking for balance in our offense. And sometimes the circumstances are such that, a run call doesn't make sense here. But we clearly understand the need for balance. We clearly understand the need to complement our defense, and you can't do it just by throwing it.
And Scott, let's be honest, that's what they've been doing a lot because the rush game has been so bad. We're going to talk about Nussmeier in just a moment. But it was interesting, Scott, in Baton Rouge during the bye week, Brian Kelly a couple times when he did talk to the media, talked about wanting to see Nussmeier do more. His numbers have been a little lower, a little down from what he was a year ago. We all know the preseason Heisman hype that he had. But it sure does seem like the focus should be establishing the run game first. Correct me if I'm wrong, but shouldn't you start with that, which should then help Nussmeier in the passing game?
Yeah, absolutely. You heard the guys sit there and talk about it because everybody knows if you can run the football and you get in a 3rd and short, it puts defenses at a huge disadvantage. Just getting ahead of the sticks, staying ahead of the chains. It doesn't matter if you have a quarterback who's a Heisman Trophy candidate or not. And I think that's kind of where the team has struggled a little bit. Going into this season, your quarterback's kind of the star of the team, star of the offense. So everybody just says, hey, when in doubt, we just throw the ball. But you have to be able to control the line of scrimmage, especially in this conference. If you can't control the line of scrimmage, it makes playing defense really impossible.
So we know that Nussmeier has been banged up. We've never really gotten the official detail or the official word of what the injury is, and there's probably a reason for that. But when you look at his numbers, last year he was number 2 in the SEC to a guy named Jackson Dart. Oh, that Jackson Dart, who just led the Giants to a big win. He's now playing in the NFL. So you want to know if Nussmeier's completely healthy. He had the bye week to get healthy. Over 4,000 passing yards last year, Scott. But this year, he's sitting on 1,159 yards. That's 8th in the SEC. What do we need to see from Nussmeier? If they get the running game going, how much will that help him from what you've seen of what he has the potential to do?
Well, I think this kid has the potential to be a first-round draft pick. I really do. I think at his highs last year, you should be judging him more so than what you've seen his lows this year. I think there's a lot of pressure on him to be the guy in this offense. Joe Burrow and Jay Daniels didn't set an easy bar for Nussmeier to attain. But I think for him, it's about going back and playing loose, playing free. I think people have drilled into his head so much, don't turn the football over. And he's playing scared. He's playing a little bit of somebody who he's not. And he needs to go back out there. If you turn the ball over a couple times, go out there. It worked for Tony Romo, it worked for Brett Favre. You're a little bit of a gunslinger. Go out there and be that.
And that's one of the things he actually addressed that in media days heading into the season, saying he had to be more focused on not making those risky plays and risking yourself for turnovers, but to your point about being loose. Maybe it's in his head too much. And the other thing, and I go back to what happened in the Ole Miss game, you had 3 up front. 3 front, dropping 8 back. So now, if a quarterback's already feeling pressured to carry the load because I can't do this, hand it off. Now you're trying to deal with 8 where you play. You're dealing with 8 guys in the back.
There's no doubt. And I think we've talked about the running backs. We've talked about the quarterback. We've talked about, Mason Taylor's now playing for the Jets. The elephant in the room is the offensive line play. The offensive line play needs to improve. And that's tough because you've lost really talented players in the NFL. Will Campbell is starting for the Patriots. He's going to be a perennial Pro Bowl player for them. So it is tough to replace guys like that. It's easier said than done. And maybe you need to do some different things offensively. I think moving the pocket a little bit, more bootlegs, getting Nussmeier outside the pocket where he doesn't have to rely on those 5 guys to protect him inside the pocket and let him utilize his ability a little bit.
And at the end of the video, you saw a video of Michael Van Buren. He did take a lot of the 1 snaps during the bye week. It gave time for Nuss to rest, to give him a little more experience just in case they need him moving forward. But it is homecoming tonight in Tiger Stadium. It's a big one for LSU as they get off that bye and get into the grind of the SEC as South Carolina comes in. The Tigers lead the all-time series. By the way, look at the Gamecocks starting tonight, the first of 5 straight games versus top 11 teams. That'll take them into early November. Have fun with that. If you don't have a ticket tonight for LSU's homecoming, don't worry. You can see all the action on the SEC Network. Well, after his heroics 2 weeks ago in the overtime win over Marshall, where he had a hand in 5 touchdowns, including the game winner, Lunch Winfield from Lutcher High School, now your new starting quarterback for the Raging Cajuns. That's the 3rd starter this season, if you're keeping track at home. Winfield's still a little banged up but ready to go to get the start on the road in a monster matchup against James Madison, the team not only picked to win the East, but to face and beat the Cajuns in the conference championship. Here's Michael Decimo on the opportunity ahead of his team tonight.
I think this is a huge opportunity this week. Getting out to a 2-0 start in conference, even though it's 2 Eastern Division games, that's a shot in the arm. This is a good football team too. This would be a great win to be able to go on the road and win one on the road. Winning on the road is important. Last year that was probably the thing that made us a little bit unique was our ability to go on the road and play really well and win. I think it's huge in a lot of ways. Really good football team. That win, validates, hey, this is a good team. You can go beat them. That's a heck of a win.
Well, this would be a big one. In sports, you're so used to saying kickoff tonight. They're about to kick off. In fact, top of the hour, it's going to be the Raging Cajuns against James Madison, who again was picked to win the East. You see the Cajuns seeking to get their first road win of the season. Pay attention to Wayne Knight from James Madison, 5th in the Sun Belt in rushing yards per game, just under 86. Obviously, this is a road game. You can check out all the action here at 11 o'clock this morning on ESPN2. It's homecoming at LSU. It's also homecoming up north off of I-20 in Grambling, where they are set to take on Texas Southern. This should be a big matchup out of the SWAC, where Grambling leads the all-time series. Remember, a couple weeks ago, we took a closer look at Mr. Tizette, the quarterback. You see his numbers there, just under 830 passing yards with 7 touchdowns. This game is a 6 o'clock kick tonight at Grambling. Happy homecoming to the Tigers up there. This game will be broadcast on ESPN+. And here we go with one of our 2 Thursday night games. The Tulane Green Wave at home at Yeoman Stadium taking on East Carolina in a big matchup out of the American. Early on, Patrick Durkin, who wound up being one of the stars of this ball game, kicks the early field goal. It's 3-0. Tulane. Jake Retzlaff doing what Jake Retzlaff does, going 15 yards the wrong direction, only to find space and make a huge play out of it. Gets out of trouble, hits Anthony Miller Jr. down to the 6-yard line. But we're seeing Durkin again? Oh, yeah, because they got to the 6 and then went backwards. So it's another field goal. In fact, Durkin had 4 field goals to make it 12-0. Now it's third quarter, 12-7 Tulane. East Carolina's Caton Hauser, he's in the end zone from 10 yards out. And just like that, ECU has the lead. They went for 2 and didn't get it, but they add a field goal. So now it's 16-12 in the fourth. Retzlaff going up top. Zacarl Lewis Jr. makes one move, the defender misplays it, and he scores from 63 yards out. It's now 19-16. We're tied at 19. Under a minute to go. Kind of a head-scratcher. Inside the 10, you got one of the best kickers in the country, but John Sumrall's team punches it in the end zone. Yeah, you get the touchdown, but you left time on the clock, and after a couple of Tulane penalties, East Carolina had a shot to tie it on the Hail Mary, but it comes up short. Tulane gets the win. Whew, it's an important one. 5-1 on the season, 2-0 in conference play, 26-19. Look at what Jake Retzlaff does. Those for 347 and 2 touchdowns. Patrick Durkin, yeah, he's your story. 4 for 4 on field goals. He's now 13 for 13 on the entire season. And next up for Tulane, it's an early kick in 1 week against Army.
Good win because there are no bad wins. All right? I've been a part of no bad wins in my life. This team is going to give me, like, health issues, I think, because, you know, we don't play with enough discipline and detail yet, and we're going to get there. I'm going to continue to push them.
No, we just shot ourselves in the foot. It was just all us. Like you see the evidence of the way we move the ball. And so the fact that we're not scoring, that it just shows it's just us. I mean, we got to be better in the red zone, just period. We got to have a higher touchdown percentage. It's awesome to have a guy like Dirk to bail us out and get points, but I mean, I want that guy to be sitting with his feet up on the sideline as much as possible because we're scoring touchdowns, and he just has to kick little pooch PATs. Like, that's how I feel about that.
I'm just really glad about the team success. That's all that I really care about. Contributing to team success in a positive way, and just having, whether the offense is having an off game or the defense, just having their back, because we preach in the special teams room that, you know, we can't have off games. You know, every game we got to have the offense or defense back and execute at the highest level, and we're doing that right now, but we got 6 more guaranteed opportunities that we got to take advantage of.
I'm happy we won. I'm really, 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 like, driven to make sure this team gets better.
You remember those days of having an offense scoring touchdowns and a kicker, you know, kicking his feet back up? Yeah, you had those days. Hey, look, good on Durkin. 13 for 13. He's one of, I think, 2 or 3 in the country. Still perfect. So it's good to know you have a guy like that. But John Sumrall was a little nicer in the post-game press conference than when he was on the field, which was, hey, a win's a win. It's big. Yeah. I hated the way we won. I actually like that because 11 penalties, 96 yards, yet you eke one out at home.
Yeah, there's tons of things to clean up. And I think Coach Sumrall has in his mind more so towards the end of the year. If they're going where they want to get to, they're going to play some teams that being 3 for 10 on third down is not going to cut it. Kicking all these field goals is not going to cut it. So tons of yardage. The passing game finally came alive. Over 350 yards passing, almost 500 yards offense. You did something right. It wasn't bad. It was just at the critical moments of the game, making the plays on third down and not kicking field goals.
Yeah, and that's the key. Let's talk about that because in the red zone, Tulane got there. Yeah, Retzlaff goes for 347 and those 2 touchdowns. You saw the one big break there where they had that massive pass, a 63-yarder. But overall, Scott, in the game, Tulane got to the red zone 6 times. If that offense is even close to being its usual efficiency, this game is a blowout. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? But like this, early in the game, you rush it down to the 7, you wind up kicking the field goal. Durkin comes in, he's automatic. Next time, this is the wild play when Retzlaff goes almost 15 yards the wrong way, but he makes a play. Not only does he make a play, this one's going to get down to the 5-yard line after he carries 5 defenders with him. But then penalties, they went backwards. Here comes Durkin again, and he winds up kicking the field goal. But then also you tried this. You might remember this in the first quarter. Remember this play. Take the snap and the pitch. Now, for a minute, it looks like he's got a shot, but then you see him take a quick right when the defender comes. So you messed one up on your own when you tried that play. Yeah. But still, of the other visits that you had in the red zone, only 1 touchdown, everything else settled field goals. I know that's something that you would tell them, we've got to get that cleaned up.
Absolutely. And like I said, there's tons of really good stuff. You had tons of yards on offense. Your pass game came alive. But I think you have to be a little bit concerned about defensively not taking the football away. The takeaways that show up in the box score at the end of games, like I've said time and time again, +1, +2, +3, it's a huge determining factor in just how much you're winning the game by. It's hard to lose games if you're taking the football away. So I'm sure Coach Summerall's telling his defense, look how good we played on offense, and it was still a tight game. Defensively, we need to take the football away, give our offense more short field positions, and score on defense yourself.
It's an early kick next week against Army. Did you mention turnovers and takeaways by the defense? Because that's what Louisiana Tech's defense has been doing all season long. In fact, they lead the country in touchdowns scored on defense, 13th overall. Well, they also played Thursday night. They were over in Georgia, believe it or not, for the first time, and you ready for this? 100 years in the state of Georgia, Louisiana Tech taking on Kennesaw State. That's a team that last year won 2 wins. Well, this year, a little different, because they've been playing very well and looking to make it 4 in a row. They got a brand new coach that came from North Carolina Central, Sonny Cumbie, trying to get his team ready to go, and they did early. Blake Baker, after 2 big passes, Baker 21 yards up the middle, gets it down inside the 5-yard line. 3 plays later, I love this formation. Bunch formation, but they swing them outside, nobody catches them. You get into the end zone, and Amari Wiggins takes it in, and it's 7-0. Second quarter, that's the trouble. Blake Baker leaves the field, does not come back into the game. So we're tied at 7 when Trey Kukoc is in at quarterback, and that's picked off. And that's going the other way. And to Scott's point, Cody Jones gives them good field possession, and it sets up this nice play by Gabriel Benyard, who takes it in from 9 yards out, so turning defense into points, 14-7, Kennesaw. Third quarter, same score, Dexter Williams, the second, hits Jordan Jackson across the middle. And this defense for Louisiana Tech is starting to get shredded. 29 yards, it's 21-7. Bulldogs do get in the red zone. Evan Bullock is now in at quarterback, but he gets picked off in the end zone. They were 4 yards away. Now it comes out to the 20, and Kennesaw takes advantage. Watch Williams. Watch this pass, Scott. You talk about threading a needle. 3 defenders and 1 on the backside, but he hits it to Lyndon Ravar. It's 28-7. And then for good measure, Williams II to Coleman Bennett, who breaks all sorts of tackles from one of the better defenses in the country. He scores from 50 yards out. It was a rough night for the Dogs as Kennesaw gets it done. 35-7 at home. Here's head coach Sonny Cumbie.
We had probably our best week of preparation this week when you think about Monday through this game. And that's why this what I think it boils down to is we just didn't compete to our best from the standpoint of we got outcompeted, we got outplayed because our preparation and the execution in our preparation, really all 2 days that we were live, and then the other 2 days, it was great preparation. And so, I think the competition piece, and then when you get into, moving targets, our guys have got to perform better, and we've got to coach better. We got to find better solutions to getting guys the ball in space, and I know Coach Franklin will do that, and his staff will do that, and at some point this offense is going to click like we clicked the first 2 halves of Southern Miss and New Mexico State. You just got to sometimes find the right recipe in terms of players and having those guys making sure that they're in position to make plays, and when they do have an opportunity to make a play, we make it.
So take a look at the numbers here. Remember, we had a chance to talk to Sonny Cumbie 1 week ago on post-game notes on Sunday, and he talked about still trying to find that rhythm with what they're doing for Tech's offense. Well, last night on that opening drive, right down the field, Baker runs for 21 yards. They punch it into the end zone, and it's 7-0. But then he leaves the game early second and doesn't come back, and you can see what happened to him. 107 yards before the end of the first quarter. Final 3, you see their total yards. Look at the first downs. Look at what happened for Kennesaw after Baker left versus what Louisiana Tech was able to do. Scott, I know you never planned for a quarterback leaving, but Louisiana Tech, their offense had been coming around. You've kind of settled in on your guy. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden you lose him, and there was no blatant injury. Like, we didn't see anything go down. He wasn't grabbing, nothing broken. He walks off the field. He doesn't come back. Now you're asking guys to step up on the road against a team with new confidence, playing well, and you saw what happened.
Well, there's two things that happen. I think sometimes when you lose your quarterback, the offensive play caller kind of gets conservative a little bit. And then this is the guy who takes all the reps all week in practice. Sure. So you have an offense built around the guy that you have playing quarterback. And then I think defensively, sometimes the air goes out of the sails a little bit for the defensive guys. Because now, as a defensive player, you're saying, we lost our starting quarterback. We have to play perfect. We can't give up any points. The defense coordinator starts calling the game a little bit tighter, doesn't want to give up any big plays, so he doesn't blitz as much. So a lot happens in your mind when it comes to losing the quarterback.
Yeah, and to your point, remember the defense, 13th in the country, giving up just about 15 points, maybe just shy of 15 points. They got shredded for 35, and you saw a lot of the broken tackles. So it affected everybody on both sides of the ball. We don't know the status of Baker. We don't know if he could come back. They've got an extended time period before their next game. But if he can't, now you're back to rotating quarterbacks again. And one of them that we saw playing the latter part of the game, Evan Bullock. He's a redshirt sophomore, and I know you know him and what he did last year. Maybe this is his opportunity to get back into the rhythm. Yeah, and Evan played a lot as a freshman. Played really well last year as a true freshman, which is hard to do. But Evan played in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He was Class 4A Offensive Player of the Year, outstanding career at Anna. Well, got close to winning the state championship. So I've seen Evan play a long time. He's more of a pocket passer. He's not going to impress you with outside the pocket, making plays with his feet, but he will stand in the pocket and make some impressive throws. He's got a really good arm. Now it's just putting that offense around him to see if you can adapt it to his strengths. Well, and the good thing is for Louisiana Tech, especially now that we're into October and you get these kind of off schedules in terms of midweek games. We talked to Sonny Cumbie 1 week ago. He had one game between last week and October 21st. That game was last night. It's a bad loss, but now you get extra time to prepare because their next game isn't next weekend, it's the following Tuesday. So a little extra time to work in Bullock and everybody else, and also get an evaluation on Baker and see how he's doing. Yeah, and I think it's important to note, I think defensively, you saw this Louisiana Tech team play some really great defense. We went back to the LSU game time and time again, talked about how they're playing as good as anybody in the country. And then last week they lost Colby Fields for the year. Yep. That's a devastating injury. I think back to my time with the Saints. If we lost a guy like Jonathan Vilma, that would be devastating. When you lose guys like that on defense, it's tough to replace them in 1 week. So having that mini bye this week will help them as well, find out some guys who can fit those pieces into the puzzle. That's a great point because of how good he was playing, and it's a tough loss. Now they'll regroup before their next game Tuesday a week. While we're talking about teams up in North Louisiana, let's focus down the interstate I-20 over to Monroe, where the Warhawks are looking to get back into action and on the winning track after a tough loss 1 week ago. Facing an opponent out of the Big Ten, that's not what they're facing tonight. They're over on the coast facing Coastal Carolina. The Chanticleer's offense, just 13 points a game. That's the lowest in the Sun Belt Conference. The Warhawks lead this all-time series 3-2. It's a 6 o'clock kick on the road that you can watch on ESPN Plus earlier this week. Here's what head coach Brian Vincent had to say about his team rebounding.
You know what? Our kids played tough. I think they were in 17 second and nines or more. And one of our big goals going into that game was to win first down and put them behind the sticks. And we did. We did. And a lot of times I thought our effort and our toughness and really our physicality, we were physical. And our kids played hard. It just came down to critical down, execution. But, hey, we'll learn from it. We'll grow from it. And we're excited to get back into conference play. In the Sun Belt, in this league, this is what we all know as coaches. And I think fans, they understand too, is in this league, anybody can beat anybody. Any given week. It's who shows up, who's the most prepared, who's the most ready, and focused. And then who goes out there and executes those critical downs, protects the football, gets takeaways on defense, gets off the field or stays on the field in third down. So in this league, anybody can beat anybody, and we know that. Everybody's good. Everybody's physical. Everybody's well coached. So at the end of the day, it's about us as we continue to go through week to week to week.
And we'll see how the Warhawks get things done out on the road. Back in the SWAC and the Southern Jaguars coming off of their bye week. They are heading back to Florida, where they're facing Bethune-Cookman on an afternoon kick. It's 2 o'clock. One of the concerns, Scott, has been turnovers for Terrence Graves to try to get rid of them.
And the tough thing, you want to always limit turnovers, but you also don't want to limit your aggressiveness on offense. So cutting down on those turnovers will be key for Southern.
Yeah, at 1-4, SWAT goals are still in front of the Jags, but the clock is ticking, and it's ticking a little louder and a little faster. Here's Terrence Graves on what his team needs to do.
We got another acronym. We talk about AME, and we're not talking about the church. We're talking about attitude, mindset, and execution. So that's the thing that we've been talking about and we've been harping on. And listen, these guys have done a great job of buying in. These guys are working hard. You know, of course, we definitely didn't expect to be where we are record-wise, but the reality is what it is. But these guys are fighting hard. They're coming to work every day and putting it all on the line. And I tell them, just continue to do what we're doing and clean up some of the things that we're doing, and this thing will flip. So, you know, of course, we're focusing on this game and what we got to do here. So the challenge is to be better this week in everything that we do in order for us to give ourselves a really good chance of winning the ball game.
Almost every day team meeting with Coach Graves, he says, we are 1-4. That's the reality of it. You can't get too high, you can't get too low. He says you got to stay even kill, and that's the team mentality right now. We got to show up. Momentum or not, it got to get done. It's a must-win game. Every game is a must-win game. I don't know many teams that are 1-4 that still have a chance to win the championship. So, I mean, every game from now is a must-win.
I tell them all the time, you play this game with emotion, but you can't play it emotional. And that's a huge difference. And sometimes getting emotional gets in the way of playing a game with great emotion, and it causes you to do things that you wouldn't typically do. Our mindset is to go and play as well as we can play to put ourselves in position to win. So, no, we're never going to talk about any pressure. These guys understand that there's a sense of urgency because they want to win. We want to win, and so because of that, that's how we approach the game.
Well, the last time we saw Blaine McCorkle following a loss to East Texas A&M, where his first comment was, well, we didn't see that coming. It was a 40-10 loss to the Lions. It was their first win of the season. The thing most worrisome, it wasn't even close. But the Demons have had 2 weeks to address it and make adjustments. And McCorkle emphasized some of the positives that could be taken from that loss.
I think those are probably the things we learned is that who are the young guys who are capable of making a play, capable of contributing. You know, I think speaking offensively specifically, we played 16 freshmen or sophomore significant snaps in the game, 12 freshmen and 4 sophomores, significant snaps. And that's hard, but that's a good thing. Where on the other side, you know, on their defense, they only had 1 sophomore in the entire 2 deep. You know, the rest of their team was juniors and seniors. So guys are getting experience against really good competition in a hurry.
Young guys getting experience. Tonight it's against Houston Christians. Pay attention to Zayshawn Edwards from Houston Christian. He leads the South End Conference in rushing. You can check out the game on ESPN+. It's a full slate of games, including the Cajuns kicking off at 11. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. We're kicking off football. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you Sunday for post-game notes here on LPB. Major production funding for Game Notes is provided by Southern University and A&M College, and Hargrove Engineers and Constructors, and the Romph Pugh Agency, with additional support from Lafayette Travel, the LSU Alumni Association, and the Cook Hotel and Conference Center at LSU, Louisiana Tech University, Natchitoches Regional Medical Center, Northwestern State University, Red Stick Sports, the U.S. Army Baton Rouge Recruiting Battalion, the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, and viewers like you. Thank you.